He has been one of Tampa Bay's most consistent scorers over the last 4 seasons. And even though he centers one of the top 2 lines for the back-to-back Southeast Division champs, the spotlight rarely seems to find this former third-round pick. On this edition of Inside the Lightning, we'll sit down with Brad Richards for a conversation about his journey from Prince Edward Island to the NHL, his longtime friendship with teammate Vincent Lecavalier, and why he's so committed to helping kids with cancer. Hey, Brad, not everybody here knows about Prince Edward Island. Can you tell us about it and what it was like as a young boy growing up there?
Well, it's a very small province in Canada. Obviously, it's an island. It's only about 120, 130,000 people in the winter. Grows a lot more in the summer, obviously with tourists, but it's very small, but everybody's very close, and it was like anywhere else in the Maritimes growing up. Except for when you leave, you always run into somebody, and it's a very close-knit place, and it seems like everybody follows you.
And Doug MacLean talks about a PEI man and some of that. There's a special pride then.
Yeah, there is. We got that small province syndrome, I think. There's not many of us that come out of there, obviously. Per capita, it's not too bad, but because there's only 120,000 people, you don't see many NHLers, you don't see many Olympians, all sorts of stuff like that. But when you do, everybody's very proud of them, and we really support each other.
In the Maritimes, your family has a business tied to fishing. Discuss that, if you would, and the challenges of that and why it's so unique.
Well, my dad's a lobster fisherman, and obviously when he was younger, when the family was a lot younger, he did a lot of other stuff, scalloping, herring. There was tuna fishing, all sorts of stuff. But he's pretty well eased off just to lobster fishing now, and it's a tough job. But for some reason, they all love it, and they wouldn't change anything for it. They're up at 4 in the morning, and they see the sunrise, and on the good days anyway, they see it, and they're back by noon, 2 o'clock, and their job is over. But they just love being out in the water, and that's what fishermen, when you grow up like that, that's your life.
They say hockey's a tough sport. I've always been impressed with those individuals as being men's men in that business.
Yes, they are. If you've seen some of the weather they get and the time of day that they have to do it, it's unbelievable, and that's part of the reason that drove me to work harder at hockey, maybe, or school. But for some reason, it just wasn't in my blood.
How challenging was it to leave a close-knit environment at PEI and go to Notre Dame at the age of 14, 15?
14, yeah, it was that was tough. That was the biggest challenge of my life. Obviously, at 14, I left and went to the other side of the country, and there was no visits from mom and dad. They couldn't just stop by. It was once a year, and that was a big ordeal for them to come out there. So, but obviously meeting my good friend now and then Vince, we became close, and probably the second or third day there. And there was a couple other guys too, and we stuck together, and you always had to kind of be around somebody. And it just happened that me and Vince got matched up, and it's amazing that we're still together.
They say coincidence is evidence there is a God. They put your cot next to Vincent Lecavalier's at Notre Dame over a decade ago.
I don't know. I don't know how they put names in the room. There was 8 of us in a room, and they just had a list in alphabetical order for that room, and we were in it. And I don't know why, but that's how it worked out, and it is, sometimes when you think of it, it is kind of strange.
The dynamics play on to Rimouski. Vincent goes there in Quebec, and you soon follow.
Yeah, Vince was, obviously, he was a very talented player, and he had the height and the size, and he was really amazing at that age. And we both played well. We finished the year in midget as 15-year-olds, but he had a chance to get drafted high, and he did. I was still wasn't really on my mind to go major junior, and I wouldn't have been drafted high. And at that age, at 16, it's just not something you want to do, is ruin your eligibility for a scholarship in the U.S. By going major junior. So I stayed back another year and played Tier 2 junior, and that year really helped me. I played against 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and like Vince did, but it was a different level, obviously. But it matured me enough to realize, okay, I can go play major junior, and I'll be able to handle it. And so I waited one more year, and Vince called me and said my name is being tossed around with Rimouski, and would you like to come here? It's obviously I didn't speak French and all that stuff, so there was no French or no English school. I only had 1 year left in grade 12, but it's still, there's a lot of things to work out because I never had an English player at that age before. So it worked out fine. We talked over on the phone, and they got in contact with me, came and watched me, and I was there the next year.
Well, Richards gets a second of the game, but
Isn't it amazing the decisions that you're making at the age of 14 and at 15 and at 16 and at 17 that are life-changing decisions? You have to be very mature. You're talking about changing a culture, going to a 500-mile location north of Montreal to play hockey.
Yeah, it was a lot easier actually to go back to Quebec, Rimouski, than it was to go to Notre Dame, just because of the age. Notre Dame prepares you for so much. And, you could have sent me to Siberia after Notre Dame, I would have been prepared for it. That place is in the middle of nowhere, and it's a very lonely place if you don't take the bull by the horns, I guess, and get on with life. And it was fine. The biggest thing I was worried about was just learning the language and getting by that way. But I mean, on the ice, it doesn't matter. You're playing hockey, and I knew once I got out on the ice, it didn't matter where I was going to have fun, and with Vinny there, that helped a lot.
Brad, you played 3 years in Rimouski, and your last season is 1999-2000, and a host of awards. I'll take you through them here. The CHL Player of the Year Award. Your reaction to that, if I went through this list, your first impression, and what mattered to you, what you think of?
To go through that year was it was a big challenge for me because I got sent home from Tampa pretty early. I didn't think I got looked at. There was new management. Rick Dudley came in, new coach Steve Ludzik, and it just seemed like I was here for 4 days and didn't matter what I did, and they were sending me home. And I kind of went back with a chip on my shoulder and wanted to prove them wrong. And realized probably about December that our team, we were playing unbelievably, and we could actually win everything, made it even better. We just kept, we had a great team, we had a great coaching staff and management, and they used me tremendously. And obviously I had a great year, but we had a great team, obviously, and the people I played with helped a lot.
The Quebec Major Junior Hockey League Most Valuable Player Award. In Quebec, the passion for this sport is unsurpassed here. Do any of these, are they especially treasured by you now? Your team won the Memorial Cup, but these individual awards and what's a team sport, you're the playoff MVP, the Memorial Cup tournament MVP. Do you still have those trophies? Look at those trophies and remember the faces of the men you played with.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing about the individual awards, because we won the Memorial Cup, and that was the peak of that year, and then getting my contract finally with Tampa and knowing that I had a chance to play in the NHL. But the biggest thing about the individual awards was the names that were before me, and mentioned, there was Luc Robitaille and Pat LaFontaine and Mario Lemieux. All these guys have won these awards, and it was just amazing to be mentioned in the same breath as them, and not really compared to, I don't mean it in that, but winning those awards and having my name on some of those things with those players at that time was pretty cool, because I still was a long ways from making it to the NHL, and I still didn't know if I'd ever would play in the NHL on a regular basis, so it was pretty exciting.
When you came back, though, that next year, Did you have a sense that you belonged, or you had proved to the world that you could play this game at a high level?
Yeah, it was a quick summer. We played until June, or last day of May or whatever. So summer went by really quick, and next thing you know, I was here. I had a ton of more confidence. I knew, because now Rick Dudley signed me, that I'm going to get my look. Obviously, I have to prove myself, but they're going to give me a chance now, and if I show up to camp and play the way I know I can, I have a chance to make it. I still didn't know how I would compare or do in exhibition games or with these other guys. It was still a little bit scary, but you know, it all worked out.
Sure did. You led the team in points. You led the team in assists that year. Were you surprised you were able to have that kind of production in that first year? What was the major reason for those kind of numbers for a first-year player in that situation?
I'm not going to lie to you. It was very exciting. I didn't know really what to expect. I didn't expect that. You know, I thought I'm not going to say I thought it'd be harder, because it was very hard. It's the best league in the world. At the same time, I didn't expect myself to come in and do that. So it was a little, I mean, in between there. I didn't know what to expect, but it was a lot of fun. It just seemed like every day was like Christmas as a kid. I'd run to the rink, and I just wanted to be around and just see guys and be on the ice and play in the games. And I didn't know how long it was going to last. We were losing all the time, not all the time, but a lot. And you know, I always had that thing, you know, maybe they're going to send me down because I'm young and they want to bring other guys in, and they're losing, and who knows what's going to happen. But I just kept plugging away, and all of a sudden, 4 years later, we're still here, so it goes by pretty quick.
Brad, after the Olympic break of 2002, John changed the style of this hockey team, implementing the go for broke style here. How much of a change was it for the men on the ice? And the results obviously have spoken for themselves, but this was quite an adjustment, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was, that year was frustrating. It was my second year. We started off, we weren't doing unbelievably, but we were playing pretty well, and everybody was starting to roll along, and we had huge injuries, and Marty St. Louis and Freddie Modine, obviously, and there was other people too. And it was very frustrating. A lot of people were frustrated the way we were playing, and they figured out a new way to play and a new system that they were going to try when we got back from Olympic break. And you know, it was always, you know, we got nothing to lose. Let's see what we can do these last 25 games or whatever it was. And, it was a lot of fun. We got back. I think the biggest adjustment was our D-man and our forwards coming back to help them, standing up and creating turnovers. And we weren't doing that before. And all of a sudden, we started turning the puck over in the neutral zone and flying the other way. And you know, I remember the first game after Olympic break that year, we played the Red Wings, and we lost 5-4 in overtime, but it was such a fun game. It was back and forth. We had the lead, they had the lead. Obviously, they went on to win the Stanley Cup, so it just kind of, that gave us confidence right there, and we had a great time. And at one point, we were only 6 points out, I think, and gave us a little idea of how exciting it could be for the next year.
The foundation you've laid now for this team last year in winning the Southeast Division here, the confidence, the stability in this organization, and a carry-on now as you try and make a legitimate run at the Stanley Cup.
I think the stability is the biggest thing now. I think the foundation and the core players that we have and the way they're bringing in people and the way they're little trades they're making and the way they're trying to keep their draft picks and young guys. They're getting their own farm team next year. It's saying a lot. I mean, it's night and day the difference between when I got here. And you know, I remember one training camp I was here, there was, I think, 60 guys. And you know, you could have a training camp now with 25 guys because you know pretty well your team. And that's how it should be. That's what shows you're going to start winning consistently every year if that happens.
More is this year, not only in the regular season, but in terms of the playoffs. And the men are basically the same as the roster a year ago, aren't they? But the hearts and minds might be significantly different than last year.
I mean, a lot of these guys are better players. When you have guys that are 22 and 25 and 27 in their first playoff series, they're going to be better players the next year, especially with the regular season we've been having. And we know now how close, what a fine line it is to win. And you know, New Jersey beats us twice in overtime. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have won those games, but you know, it's just a bounce here or there, and we have 2 more wins, and you never know. And that's how close it is. And you know, Ottawa would probably say the same thing. They lose the next series, and they could have been in there. They could have won a cup. Like, that's when you get into the playoffs, it's so close. And I think you know, the last few years, seeing 7th and 6th seed teams going to the finals and stuff like that, it shows you anybody can really win.
Brad, when this airs, you will have just turned 24. Is the NHL all it's cracked up to be here? You've had a very nice run. Have you enjoyed this, being a part of the swirl that is the National Hockey League?
Yeah, it's everything you've dreamed of it being growing up. Always wanted to play and always wanted to be a part of it, and now that I am, some days you do take it for granted, and it's always good to kind of pinch yourself and say, you know, you're very lucky to be here, and quit complaining. But most of the days it's just exciting, and feeling very fortunate that I get to do something that I love to do.
You've impressed me as being an individual whose heart is older than 24, maturity about it. You're involved with a number of charitable endeavors, including Richie's Rascals, with children that are stricken by cancer. Your inspiration for that, why you do it?
Well, I had a long time ago, obviously. I was 5 when my little cousin got diagnosed. He was very close to me. We grew up right beside each other pretty well, always together. I was 5, I think, maybe 6, and he got diagnosed with brain cancer, and he passed away 3 years later. And when I grew up and got closer to making it and seeing different stories, you know, I always see different players in the NHL doing stuff like that. I always said in my head that if I ever have a chance to do that, I'd do something in memory of him, and it's worked out tremendously. I mean, the kids are loving it up there, and we've had nothing but good response. We thank everybody for, there's been tons of sponsors and people helping, and obviously it's not me it's for the kids, and on behalf of them, we really appreciate that.
I have visited your box where the children and their families come in. Those children touch your heart. They're some of the courageous young souls you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a different world. I've obviously haven't lived it, but I've seen it firsthand, that close to my family, and it's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Cancer, and it's just amazing to see how these kids, seems like nothing phases them. They're just having a ball up there, and not just up there. They fight through those things every day, and what they go through in the hospitals is scary. And I think we'd all rather get hit by a puck or hit by a player, or tons of things in hockey. It puts it in perspective. It seems a lot more simple.
But once again, you're doing something about it here, as if you feel that it's your responsibility or the responsibility of all men and women who are in a position of prominence to take an active role in the community. Do you feel a sense of social purpose in that?
I don't know. It's not something I feel I have to do because of I'd like to think that if I was home right now, not doing this, I'd still try to do something. That's not why I'm really doing it, but I'm not saying other people should do it. There's different things you can do. I mean, there's tons of kids and different people and families that go through different things every day, and cancer happened to be one I picked, but I'm just doing it because it feels good to see those kids, and we all know it's the right thing to do, but it's just something I always thought I'd try to do.
You've gone back to your roots, too. You're involved with the hockey team, Prince Edward Island. Again, the sense of satisfaction, the joy you get from that, and why you got involved. I
got involved because it was a good chance for our province to get involved in major junior hockey, and I think the way it was when I played, and how the town of Rimouski, how that town thrived off it in some long, cold winters. It was something I think PEI needed. It's going to help the kids there. It's going to help people growing up and playing. They're going to strive for it, and I think you'll see a few more people get more chances to play major junior hockey and maybe even the NHL someday because of it. And it was just something that was kind of neat. And by no means am I a majority owner or anything like that, but I'm involved, and I'm in a very minor part. But when I go back there, it's going to be fun because they're doing well this year. They're in the playoffs right now, and we'll see what happens.
You're a realist. What are you going to do when all of this is over with? When your playing days are through, what can you envision from Brad Richards?
I don't know. I've never really thought of it. That's a tough one. I'd like to think that I'm going to play forever, but it's a lot of fun right now, and I'm not going to really worry about that until I feel a need to worry about it. But I hope I got at least 15 more years of hockey in me, and staying healthy, knock on wood. You never know what could happen, but that's way too far ahead for me.
St. Louis in front, Richards shooting, goal!